Hello, everyone, and welcome back to People Jew Wanna Know podcast. As today is Hanukkah and Christmas Day, I figured it's a perfect opportunity to bring on a guest who has the best holiday gifts, Rachie Shnay. Rachie Shnay runs her own jewelry brand and company, also called Rachie Shnay, and you may recognize her brand because it was the one that came out with those beautiful diamond Magen David rings, known as the Mazel rings. Gal Gadot, Deborah Messing, Lizzie Savetsky, Noah Tishby, Rachel Zoe, Selma Blair all have been spotted wearing these rings. I definitely feel like they're the it girl item for sure, and Rachie went and made Judaica this trendy it girl thing, so I'm really excited to chat with her on today's episode to learn more. Also, not gonna lie, I'm just fangirling. Rachie started her Mazel collection as a way to honor her grandparents, all four of whom were Holocaust survivors. Rachie's mom also ran her own successful jewelry company for 20 years, so that's how Rachie learned the ropes of the jewelry industry. Also, side note, I have to say that as an English as a second language speaker, the word jewelry always gets me because I want to pronounce it as jewelry because that's how it's spelled. But anyway, as Rachie will share, she was inspired by the Warby Parker model, which made hip, fashionable glasses affordable. And so she wanted to do that with her fine jewelry brand. Rachie's website has easily over 500 jewelry products, incredible fine jewelry items, both Judaica and not Judaica themed. Her products are also carried at Nordstrom's and soon Anthropologie. Outside of her business, Rachie spends even more time doing online activism on her Instagram. She shares information about the war in support of our soldiers and promotes the importance of Jewish education and raising Jewish families. We talk about all of these things at length in the episode. Speaking of families, Rachie, I don't even know if you know this about yourself, but obviously I was doing research on Google about Rachie, and as I started typing her name into the search bar, one of the top searches was Rachie Shnay husband. And I'm not surprised that this is a top hit at all because if you haven't seen Rachie, she is an absolutely stunning blonde Jewish woman with an impeccable sense of style and class. So I wasn't surprised whatsoever. I think you'll really enjoy getting to know her through this episode. And if you already own a piece of her jewelry, hit me up because I'd love to see what you got. Okay, please enjoy. Hey, Rachie, welcome to People Jew Wanna Know podcast.
Hi, so nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, I am so excited to chat with you today. My first question for you is, tell us about yourself. What do you do and how did you get there?
Wow, what a loaded question. I feel like I've had many lives in my short life so far. Right now, I guess what I'm known for is the Mazel collection. And it took a lot of career paths to get to this point and a lot of different developments within myself. But right now, I'm very proud to say that I am connecting men and women all over the world, Jewish men and women and non-Jews, to want to be proud of their Jewish identities or at least supporting other Jewish people. But for the most part, it's thousands and thousands of Jewish men and women, literally from as far as like Scotland to Monaco to Kentucky to Indiana to the most random places you've ever heard that you didn't even know a Jew lived in, and a Jew has ordered a Mazel piece to wear it loud and proud. So that's something that I'm so honored and humbled to be almost just the messenger, because I honestly don't think of it as just myself doing it. I feel like I was given this opportunity and I kind of ran with it. It's been a crazy journey. Lots of amazing things have happened.
That's amazing. So how did the Mazel collection come about? Can you tell me more about your brand and the origin of the business?
Yes. The company is called Rachie Shnay, which is my name. And when I first started the company 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago, I knew I wanted to have a fine jewelry company that was more affordable. And I knew the business growing up. My mom had a business and I always saw how some retailers would mark up fine jewelry exponentially, which is amazing. Good for them if they're selling it at that price. That's great. But I was like, wow, I really have an opportunity here to have the Warby Parker approach to fine jewelry and to make the margins lower and sell quantity. And I just honestly, I wanted young people or any age to be able to afford beautiful, fine jewelry and wear it and love it and not break the bank. So I originally started the company with most of the pieces under $1,000. And then, of course, as the past few years, gold has gone up a lot and prices have really gone up. So I had to raise my prices a little bit. But for the most part, everyone will say that I do have the most competitive prices on the market, especially for diamond tennis necklaces and bracelets. And that was really the focus. But when I was launching my company, I knew for a fact that I wanted to have a very cool, trendy collection of Jewish themed jewelry. That included the Mazel ring, which is our most popular piece that we're really known for. But I knew that was it. Like that was a deal breaker. Like I definitely only I needed to have that cool factor to make Jewish jewelry something relatable and fun and trendy, that girls who have, let's say, $1,000 to spend on a piece of jewelry, that instead of going for the heart or the flower or something else, they really want to spend it on a Magen David, something that really represents them and makes them feel at peace and proud. So where that stems from really is from being a grandchild of 4 Holocaust survivors. So my grandparents were all from Poland, and I grew up with this very strong sense of Jewish identity, supporting Israel and loving the Jewish people no matter what. And it was just in my blood, and the school I went to and the camps I went to and the people around me and the synagogue I went to, like there was no other, that was it. Like you have to be a proud Jew always, especially knowing where we came from and how we lost so many family members and extended family members and millions of Jews that were killed in the Holocaust. How could we not be loud and proud? And I really, truly believe that every day that I'm living here, like I'm living for them and I have to make them proud. And I have to make up for the time lost, if that makes any sense. It's a lot of Jewish guilt that's built into being a grandchild of survivors, but it really stems from that. And one of the ways that I felt like I could do that was taking something physical like jewelry, gold and diamonds, and making it into something more spiritual, something that people really can attach themselves to and look down at their hands or look at their chest or their wrists and feel, wow, like I'm so proud to be wearing this. And I can't wait to pass this on to my daughter or buy one for my granddaughter or for my friend or for my teacher, or just something that connects Jews all over the world.
But I think what you brought into the market, which for me at least was missing before, there were some things before, but you, I think, brought more, is from the fine jewelry angle. I think you made something that was beautiful. And it's very hard to find Judaica that's like beautiful and feels young and trendy and hip, because a lot of it is grandma.
100%. And I'm like a city girl through and through. I was born and raised in Manhattan. My mom and my sisters are very trendy and cool and fashionable. And I was never as like up to date with the trend, but I grew up surrounded by it. And it was a main topic of our household, just like, you know, what's up to, let's go down Madison Avenue and see what's cool and what's at Bergdorf's right now. And I just grew up with that. I myself couldn't find, like you said, and no offense to any other designer, and there's so many other amazing designers, but I felt like I wanted something that I couldn't find it. Like it was just either too cheesy or it just didn't go with my theme of like how I wanted to complete my outfit and complete my look. One of the first things I did was create Magen Davids with baguette diamonds, and I hadn't seen that on the market yet. So most of them have pavé diamonds, which I do also, but most of my pieces have baguette diamonds, which I thought was very chic and cool and different. Something I already loved before in jewelry, so I wanted to translate it into the Jewish themed jewelry. I started to add, I have like turquoise in my pieces I have a lot of new turquoise pieces coming out too, which I always love turquoise, chunky gold pieces like this one, the new Mazel coin. And then I added the map and different symbolisms and the menorah, which is the new one that I actually have a necklace for my grandmother with the menorah like this, not the Hanukkah menorah, but it's actually the menorah from the temple. It's the symbol of Israel, and people don't know that, but this is actually the symbol of Israel. So you'll see it on flags when you like drive in the highways and the streets of Israel, and people don't really notice it. But now that I'm telling you, hopefully you'll notice it more. But obviously we have the Israeli flag with the Magen David, and that is a very big symbol for us. But the menorah is actually the Semel Yisrael, which is the symbol of Israel. I'm a teacher, actually, by trade. I have a master's in Jewish education, so I'm always trying to teach a little something or bring a little meaning to everything that I do. And I think my followers know that and see that, because I am posting my jewelry. But honestly, I think probably like 40% jewelry and like 60% Jewish content. Maybe I probably should even post more jewelry from a business perspective. But everything I do, I put my whole heart and soul into. And if I'm going to be posting from this Instagram account, like I need to show everything and show the beauty of Judaism, not just the jewels, but like everything about it. The Shabbos food, going to Israel, showing them living like a proud religious Jew. There's so many things that I like to show, even the events that I go to, talking to different people, sharing their experiences. And so also especially my grandparents' story. And that's one thing that I like love to talk about on my Instagram.
No, what I love about what you did with the menorah is often the menorah feels very Hanukkah. It's a seasonal item, which means it's not the most coveted item on the market because people associate it with just a season, but you made it look in a way that does not feel like Hanukkah, which means it can be worn year round. And that's really important.
Exactly. And actually the Hanukkah menorah has 4 branches on each side.
Right. Because it's a Hanukkah. It's not a regular menorah.
Hanukkah. And this one has three on each side. And it's funny because like people will come and be like, oh, that's a great Hanukkah gift. I'm like, it is a great Hanukkah gift, but it's also not for Hanukkah. I'm like, yeah, you're right. You can get it for Hanukkah, but it's definitely, it's like a cute theme, but it's nice for people to recognize that. And I hope to continue to like add different symbols and ways of translating. Like I have the map of Israel, which I call the map of Mazel for my collection. And that piece like completely sold out time and again. And everyone who bought it, a lot of them are just like so excited to buy it, but there are like plenty of women that bought it that were like, I would never wear this piece of jewelry. Never in my life would I ever wear a map of Israel on my neck. And now that I have it, I cannot take it off and I cannot imagine my life without it. And that's really the theme with my collection. There are the women that loud, proud, they're covered in the Mazel collection. But then there are the women that never would have worn any, like they never would have thought to wear a Magen David. Doesn't mean that they're not proud Jews, but it wasn't something that was like at the forefront of their mind. Maybe they just didn't think it was cool enough, or they didn't like really relate to it, or they just didn't want it on them, which is like totally fine. But once they got it either as a gift or after October 7th, which we could talk about also, but once they got it for whatever reason, they literally are so attached to it, they cannot take it off. Like they feel like it's like part of them, and they honestly freak out. Like I know women will message me like they left the house by accident without their Mazel ring or their Mazel earrings or whatever, and they like have to run back and go get it. That's how attached we feel to these pieces. And it's not like a materialistic thing. It's not because, oh, I need to show the diamonds and how beautiful it is. It really is something so much deeper than that.
The women who bought it are attached to their map, and the Amazon executive who wore it on a webinar took a map of Israel and said that it was Palestine is attached to her map as well. So we all seem very attached to our maps.
Like, I was like, I didn't know she had a map of one of my pieces.
Unfortunately, only the opposite.
Yeah, somebody sent that to me, and I'm like, gotta send her a Mazel piece. She
Right.
She doesn't know what's right from wrong. Whatever.
And I want to pick your brain a little bit about your activism work, because I very much, like on social media, perceive you not only as a business owner or as a jeweler, might I say, but also as an activist. And in this last year of changing your platform to do so much advocacy and activism work, what do you think it has taught you?
Oh my gosh. Well, at my core, like I am an activist. That's really my main focus and mission in life. And I always say that I'm so lucky that I'm able to attract people to my platform with the glitz and the sparkle and the diamonds and the golds and the pretty things, but really bringing them there, getting their attention, and then really hooking them and telling them like what's really important in life. I really feel so grateful that my whole platform is intertwined like that. And I think I've always been an activist. I don't know what makes somebody an activist or not. I think anyone could be an activist, but I've always been very proud and loud. I have a lot of like positions in different organizations. So I've been speaking publicly for years, especially about Holocaust education and awareness and fighting anti-Semitism and supporting Israel. And that was never something like, oh, October 7th, I didn't have this awakening. I was like, it's been in me my whole life. If anything, October 7th brought up more of a fear that I had to really conquer, because I definitely have PTSD, generational Holocaust trauma. And my whole life, I've been preaching like never again and speaking all over saying this can't happen again. And then it happened, and I was in shock. We all were in shock, and we're all heartbroken, and I was getting a ton of hate. And that really was something that I had to like work on, because I had to not let it get to me and not let it stop me from the mission. So thank God I worked through it. It definitely was hard. I'm not going to say it's easy. I'm not going to just say, oh yeah, like who cares, whatever. It definitely gets to you when you get like actually targeted personally, then it's hard. It's really hard. And I didn't care that my business was involved, honestly. And I know a lot of people were scared to like, speak out because it's a business, and my account really is a business account. But to me, like I said before, it's one and the same for me, like personal, business, emotional, spiritual, like everything that I do is the same. So I didn't even think twice about it. And I didn't care about posting soldiers and supporting soldiers. And every sale that I make, I give 15% to Israel. So even now, and I did this even before October 7th. It wasn't like it's anything new for me, but I guess some people, it didn't do well with some people, and they were posting that I was supporting the IOF. I didn't even know what that was. It doesn't actually exist, but the way that they perceive it, the Israel Defense Forces, it's definitely hard to see yourself get targeted, but that comes with the fight. Everyone's getting it. And I think the world is slowly turning around. I hope in that things are shifting a little bit and people are seeing the truth. And it honestly doesn't even matter anymore because we're here, we're proud, we're loud, we're not going anywhere. And that's the end. That's just how it is.
It's so interesting to me that the whole origin of your business and the way that you've done the business from the beginning is already very Jewish. To give part of your profit to tzedakah is the most Jewish thing that you could do.
Yeah, it literally says in the Torah that you have to give 10% of your income to tzedakah. And that is why the Jews are obviously a tiny minority of the world, but we give the most amount of charity of any group of people, which I truly believe that nobody ever gets poor from giving. And the more you give, the more you get. And I've seen that firsthand. Like I've given hundreds of thousands of dollars, thank God, to different organizations. And the Mazel just comes back to you. And I really believe that.
It feels like we're at an interesting inflection point for the Jewish people where we have so many Jews that speak up and do so much for Israel and the Jewish people. And at the same time, we have the most marrying out that we've ever seen amongst Jews. And we also have a loud proportion, I'm not going to say big, but I am going to say loud proportion of anti-Zionist Jews who don't feel supportive of Israel at all. And you have this background in teaching students. Do you have an opinion on what happened to us as Jewish people? Why we're seeing this weird divide?
So I obviously have strong opinions on this. I am an Orthodox Jew, modern Orthodox Jew. And so I have strong opinions. I don't want ever to offend anyone. I do believe that a Jew is a Jew, whatever religious practice you're practicing. Like I love every Jew so much. And I really do go by that. And I think we have to be so united. And I'm not here to divide anyone. The whole point of my mission is to bring people together and to inspire people and not to preach and throw things down people's throat. And that's honestly the best compliment I get from my followers is when they tell me like, I have decided to light Shabbat candles and I've decided to send my son to Jewish school because of what you've been talking about. And it never came off as like, you should do this or you shouldn't do this. It's really just something of like showing the beauty of Judaism. And I think that is missing in raising Jewish children, not necessarily, even it goes for both sides, whether you're Reform or whether you're very Orthodox and you're pushing things down your kids' throats or not pushing anything at all. It goes both ways. Kids have to see the beauty of Judaism. They have to see the love and the warmth and not like, no, 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 but yes, yes, yes. And this is why this is so nice to do this. And this is why it's so nice to sit down with your family on Friday night and invite people over and learn about other people and make sure everyone has somewhere to go and eat delicious food and have your phones away. And these are all things that like God implemented thousands of years ago. And now it's like the trend to put your phone away when you go for dinner with your friends. But like we've been doing that every week. And I think for me, what I really focus on my platform, because it is what I'm like professionally actually trained in, is promoting the importance of Jewish education. So I can't express it enough and how important it is. And I think now parents are waking up to that because unfortunately their children are at the top schools all over the country. And yet the teachers, the administrators, and the students hate them just for being Jewish. And they're using the excuse of Israel, of the so-called genocide happening in Israel for, doing the horrible things that they're doing to kids, whether that's swastikas like in the classrooms or denying that Israel exists or inviting Holocaust deniers to speak. I mean, these are Upper East Side, the best schools in the country, literally, that I have family members that went there. And it's the craziest thing to me that these Jewish families are spending $50,000 a year for each kid to have their children indoctrinated or try to be indoctrinated. And the students themselves, the kids, go to school and they feel horrible. They sit in these classrooms, they feel alienated, or they just like don't know how to act. There's no other option for them. That's the thing. Obviously, like there are options, and that's what I try to like talk about is that there are options, and if you can send your kid to a Jewish school, and I provide different links to scholarship funds, and I know that's a very hard thing if your child's in public school. But there are options. And especially now, there are more organizations that are really trying to help Jewish families have their kids in the right environment. And I think that's so important. And then even worse is if a Jewish child is in one of these schools and then they start believing the things that the teachers are teaching them. And so you're kind of throwing your child into the wild over there. And it's really hard. And I always say, I've been saying this forever, even before October 7th and horrible things are happening in these schools. But I always say, I'm like, when you send your child to school, first of all, they're in school longer than they're actually at home. You know, when they come home at, let's say, 3, 4, or 5 o'clock, I mean, they go to sleep a few hours later. Like, they really are with the school longer than they are with you. And you have to make sure that you have a partner in parenting. You have to make sure that the students and the teachers and the administration that you are sending them to and trusting your child with share the same values as you, because you literally are giving them off for the majority of their childhood. So it's so important. And not only that, but it also dictates who their friends are going to be, who your friends are going to be, because most of the time you become friends with the other parents, which organizations you're going to be involved in, which synagogue, which it's like, it dictates which camps. Like, so much of your life depends on where you decide to send your kid to school in kindergarten. And I think a lot of young parents don't recognize how big of a decision that is. And my parents to this day always say that the best thing they ever did was decide to send us to the Jewish school that I went to. And they were so close to not sending us there until somebody really was like, and they weren't religious. They became more religious. Somebody said, no, you have to send them. You have to send them to the school. It's really going to change your life. And they listened. And it wasn't necessarily their comfort zone. Like, they went out of their comfort zone to send us to that school. I think it's definitely times are changing. Things are shifting. Like, I think people are seeing what I'm talking about more. And it's very obvious. It's like in all of them, you could just read about it online and horrible things that are happening and the different teachers that are ripping down the hostage posters and things like that. Like, who wants to have their kids with someone like that? So for me, I think that the decision you make to send, at 5 years old can really dictate the rest of their life. And that translates into who they marry, because where they go to school really gives them that sense of Jewish pride. And I say, and if your child can't go to Jewish school for whatever reason, really try to have them go to a Jewish camp or a Jewish teen Torah program, whatever it is, because camp is associated with fun and singing and different activities. And it's not like the stringent being in school. And when you associate something fun with Judaism, that's something that's going to stick with you. And I know so many kids that went to Jewish teen tours, or that's something that like really made them realize that they want to marry a Jew. These small decisions that are not that small really make a big difference.
I completely agree with you. And I'm a Hebrew school teacher too, but I sub more now. Yeah. I teach at more Reform or Reconstructionist synagogues, but I grew up going to a conservative summer camp. Funny detail, I opted out from having a bat mitzvah because I was like, I don't want to go to school to have a party. I literally opted out. But it's funny that I'm the Hebrew school teacher now.
But you're still a bat mitzvah, don't worry.
Yes,
you did it.
My birthright bat mitzvah counts.
Yeah.
The reason I bring this up is because teaching at a Reconstructionist synagogue, you meet kids who come from multi-faith families and families that are not supportive of Israel. So the topic of Israel is not like already clear-cut discussion in the classroom. And
you're not allowed to talk about it? It's a taboo subject?
You're allowed to talk about it in a very particular way.
Okay.
And so we're talking about kids who are like 8 years old, 9 years old. And my approach to teaching that was I did an exercise with them that was an agree or disagree game to even try to get a baseline of where do these kids stand in the classroom. Because if there's consensus among the kids on how they feel, then it's easier to run a class one way. But if I see a lot of kids disagree with each other, I need to be careful with what I teach and how I teach it. So the question I posed to a room of fifth graders, so they were 10, 11, was the land of Israel is important for the Jewish people. And I had half the kids literally down the middle, half the kids say agree and half the kids say disagree. And I asked them both to share their viewpoints. The ones that disagreed mainly said that being Jewish is a religion. We don't need to have religious countries. And I don't support other religious countries, like Muslim countries or Christian countries. I wouldn't support that either. So I wouldn't want that for my people. Whereas the kids that agreed that Israel is important would say it's a safe haven for the Jewish people. It must exist in order to protect the Jewish people, whatever their talking points were. But what I took away from teaching that class is when I was growing up until college, I had absolutely no confusion about the topic of Israel because I grew up in spaces that were clearly supportive of Israel. So what it allowed me to do when I arrived to college is have a very clear narrative in my head and very clear arguments and talking points about why I believe what I believe. And I was so disappointed that that confusion is being introduced at young ages like 8, 9, 10, 11, because I don't think that is a conflict or an issue that those kids can understand at that age.
No,
and I
they're
think
just listening to their parents.
And it's very important, I think, that kids are protected from having to conceptualize this difficult conflict until they're a little bit older, maybe teenagers at the youngest, I would say.
100%. And I give you so much kudos for that because I don't know how I would have reacted in that situation. And it's more of just upsetting because obviously they're just kids and I would be so deeply hurt and scared for the future. They are the future. And that is terrifying to me. And like you said, I didn't grow up with any other, like there was no ifs, ands, or buts. First of all, we learned the history and the history is the truth. If you learn just the history, the facts that the UN declared partition the state of Israel, like everything was historical facts. There is no falsity. It doesn't make any sense that all of a sudden these 8-year-olds can be like, I don't believe that that's true. What are you talking about? Then I just read something like, then Hawaii technically is not like, we should give back Hawaii. Like, what do you, like, I don't understand why all of a sudden Israel is such a hot topic where we can just decide the fate of 8 million plus Jewish people that live there. That's not, it is our country and it belongs to us. And there's no discussion. And I don't know why. It's just because we're Jews that it became such a discussion that we shouldn't exist. Wow. That is, I guess it's good that I'm not a teacher anymore. But I try
to get you riled up. Yeah. For me at that moment, it was important not to confuse the kids that support Israel. Yes. So I went into this mode of, listen, pretend we're in court, right? We're going to have the argument for and argument against. Let's come up with the strongest arguments for, the strongest arguments for against, and try to do it as if we're outside of this issue and we're looking at it from the outside in, like a court case. And I don't know where those kids are at today on their viewpoints, but it was one of the most important teaching experiences, I think, for me as a Jewish learning professional, if you will. And I was like, I only taught Saturdays. I'm not a full-time teacher by any means, but what I did in those years of teaching Hebrew school was some of the most like impactful moments in my Jewish career, if you will, or my understanding of the conflict. Now, I wonder, what message would you want to leave young Jewish people with who are now starting to think about settling down, maybe getting married or building families?
I know I said I wasn't preaching, but I think I think I really made myself clear with that Jewish education. And it's not something that I have to really say so heavily anymore because I think everyone's thinking that. And I know, so what's really cool about my business is I do meet so many people and I love to ask people their stories and where their kids go to school and how they're feeling with their kids at that school and in their universities. And we sit here and we schmooze and so many of them have like cried and they've taken their kids out of school and tried to get them into Jewish school. One of my clients started another Jewish school because her kids were already too old to just go into another Jewish, like they couldn't catch up with the Hebrew. And she literally started a school and unbelievable things. And there's just, aside from having them in the right environments when they're being molded as humans, I would say trying to really also bring it into the home. And that's so important to just love Israel and love Judaism in the house and bring your kids to Israel, obviously at whenever they feel is the right time, but bring them to Israel, see what it's like. And I know so many people who go to Israel for the first time. They're like, this is what everyone's fighting about? Like, what? These people, these amazing people on the beach and this beautiful Jerusalem and like, this is what everyone's talking about. Like everyone's living their life there. My sister lives there. She will go into the bomb shelter when Iran attacks and she's like, okay, let's go to the supermarket. Like, it's just everyday life like that. They're innocent, amazing people living there, Jews and non-Jews alike, that just want to live their life in peace. And people have the audacity to just be fighting and talking about their existence abroad when they've never even been there. For Jews especially to do that is like the most hurtful thing ever. And when I encounter a self-hating Jew or a Jew that isn't as anti-Zionist, I definitely need to hold back. And it's hard for me because I'm very passionate about this, but it's a tough thing because when I see people that I know who are losing their sons or brothers in the army or daughters or people who were killed on October 7th, and then people just think that they could nonchalantly say their opinion when they're not sacrificing anything at all, but just loving to have a big mouth and think that they know what they're talking about. It's hard. It's definitely hard. And for me, I always say, go to Israel. Just go to Israel. Go there. And then maybe you can have an opinion. But go there, show your children, show your family, do whatever you can to show the land and see what's actually happening there. See that the hospitals, I went to volunteer at Cherry Tzedek a few weeks ago when I was there. It's the hospital in Jerusalem, passing around food at night in the emergency room, a food cart. And we gave more food and toys to Arabs than we did to Jews. At one point, and the majority of the hospital is Arabs, and nobody turns Arabs away. All these Jewish doctors are treating them every single day, 24 hours, their children, them. And it's a beautiful thing to see, honestly. And that's what's happening. And people don't see that. And they just like to see the negative things. So I would say, go to Israel, bring beautiful Judaism into your home, try to have a Shabbat dinner, try to host a class, try to bring in your Chabad rabbi or rebbetzin to inspire you or your children, really understanding what Judaism is about, what Torah is about. I don't think people really know the truth about it. A lot of Jews will get intimidated by Judaism if they didn't grow up necessarily affiliated as much. I don't even like the word affiliated because we're all equally Jewish to each other. But in terms of like understanding our history and what we stand for and who we really are, and that really is the Torah. The Torah is the one thing that has been the same and the constant for thousands of years and for every Jew, whether you're a Jew in Yemen or you're a Jew in Turkey or you're a Jew in Poland or you're a Jew in Kentucky, you all have the same Torah. It's an incredible thing. And we should really try hard to really learn what's inside and see what it's all about. And so I think for me, like even just having a class or going to a class or just taking that upon yourself to really knowing why we are standing up for what we're standing up for. But Jewish continuity is the most important, like you said. So really preventing assimilation. And one thing I want to say, I just read something that the Zionism course at Cornell is being taught by an anti-Zionist. Or the class is called What's Really Happening in Palestine. And that's the Zionism course. And my jaw fell on the floor. I could not believe that. I'm just like, how is this happening? I took a Zionism course in NYU when I was in college a long time ago. And there was no ifs, ands, or buts. Like it was about the birth of the state of Israel. And it was about the Jewish people being in Israel and had nothing. And, it's crazy how even in our top universities, in an Ivy League university, history is being distorted. So that's what's terrifying to me. I think that people really have to reassess where they're sending their kids to school and college and going to Israel. And that's really those are my main factors here.
And I'll add that if you're a learned Jew or someone who has the ability to teach, do it. Step up for your community. If you know that a lot about Judaism, you have an obligation to share it with others.
100%.
I think it's a very important part.
100%. And I've seen that so many amazing Instagram accounts have come on to teach like little tidbits and I've seen all these secular Jews start to follow them and love them and be like, oh, this is what it's about. I didn't know that. I thought it was like, you had to be like wearing a long skirt and have payas. Like people are trying to really break down the stereotypes and it's working. And I think social media obviously can be a very toxic, horrible place. And if you're following the wrong people, it really could hurt you. But if you're following the right people, it really can be a beautiful thing and you can be inspired every day. It could change the trajectory of your life. And I think that that's so important for something that we all are constantly focusing on in our everyday life, which is our phones. Make sure that you're following beautiful accounts that promote beautiful things and don't cause anxiety for the most part and really make you feel like, you know what, today I'm going to go to this challah bake or tomorrow I'm going to decide to visit this museum that I haven't been to. Or maybe I'm going to support this kosher restaurant because it's Jewish owned and I want to support them and they were just vandalized last night on the Upper East Side. Different things like that. And it's so easy, these small little things that we all can do. And I think that we all just have to come together and support each other.
Yeah, for sure. And how can people connect with you on social media and what can we look forward to in your upcoming products or collections?
Thank you so much. You can follow me at Rachie Shnay on Instagram. I have a website, rachieshnay.com. I have another company called The Healers Collection, which is also based, actually, one of our partners is in Israel, The Healers, Sarit Shire, and she is incredible and is doing unbelievable things. You can find us in Nordstrom's and in Anthropology actually soon. But for Rachie Shnay, I'm constantly designing new pieces and there's a lot of exciting new things happening. We have our watches, which is really fun, our Mazel watch, and we're probably going to come out with a new variation of that, which was actually launched for Israel's 75th birthday. So this was before October 7th. And it was an ode to my grandparents, the Holocaust survivors. So if you do order the watch, it comes with a whole little card with their pictures and about something about them. Cause that's what I do. I have to give kishkas and like meaning into everything that I do. Yeah. So I would say just look out for new pieces because there's always something cooking.
I have been eyeing a few things for the holiday season. So
yeah.
I will stay looking. Okay.
Well,
I stay looking.
We are going to get you mazeled up.
Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. I have one final question for you. It's one that I ask every single guest. Who would you like to nominate for People Jew Want to Know podcast?
Oh my God. First of all, I just have to say this was so fun and I can schmooze forever.
Yay.
Who would I want to nominate? There's so many. Okay. So I met Patricia Heaton last night. She is incredible. And she's one of those righteous among the nation. She's just incredible. And she's obsessed with supporting Israel and the Jews. I think it would be very cool to hear from her perspective on supporting a Jew when you are not a Jew. So I think that would be really interesting. My favorite fashion designer that I wear almost every day is Shoshana. She's a very proud Jew. Shop Shoshana, shoshana.com. She creates beautiful dresses and bathing suits and just everything. She's amazing. And she has a great story also as a granddaughter of survivors. One of my other very close friends, Joyce Azria, who grew up as like fashion empire BCBG, also very proud Jew. There's so many that I love that I would want to hear from.
They're all wonderful nominations. Thank you so much for doing this.
Of course.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, please go ahead and rate us 5 stars. Be the first to hear our episodes by subscribing to People Jew Want to Know wherever you get your podcasts. And for exclusive content, follow us on Instagram at People Jew Want to Know.